And I work really hard. And somehow I'm still not making enough. Like, who is establishing what the enough is? Because I feel successful. Sometimes there's no direct linear relationship between hard work and compensation and enrichment. You can work hard and feel empty. And you can relax and be nourished. That one's really hard for me. You can be enthusiastic about your success and a failure by the standards of modern capitalism. And you can still want the stability of a reasonable income. You're allowed to want that. I want that. And I know government aid is one of those things that people have opinions about, like being a millennial, like being a woman. I'm scared to tell you that I was taking that help, and I'm more scared to tell the internet because that's where this talk is going. And it's fucking scary out there. When Talia said she had 5,000 Twitter followers when her stuff blew up, I was like, I have 5,000 Twitter followers. That means I could be next. So I two-step authenticated all of my accounts. And that was scary to have to sit and contemplate that maybe something would happen. First standing up here and wanting to be vulnerable with all of you and with the internet. And I don't want to give in to that. I don't want to shut down. But because my success doesn't always come with financial reward, even if the success feels genuine, I struggle to talk about it. There are different definitions of success, right? We often talk about being enriched. I recognize the irony of this image, but also the contradiction inherent in it is very important. So this is the definition of enrich, right? It can mean two things, and I think this definition cuts right to the heart of why I'm scared. Because here we have, it means it can improve or enhance the quality or value of, but also make someone wealthy or wealthier. If it's the same word, surely it should be able to do both things at the same time. Apparently not. And I've started to realize that in the last few years, really my whole life, I've been doing what my family taught me to do. So I'm going to give you guys a little biographical background information here. For those of you who don't know, my mother has worked as a script analyst my whole life. My dad, to the joy of every nerd I've ever befriended, wrote Highlander. That Highlander. I wish I had my phone so I could take a picture and send it to him. He would lose his shit. But they have both been creative freelancers my entire life. And they're both British. We have a house full of books. I had a very lovely and fantastic childhood that I'm very happy to have enjoyed. We didn't really grow hungry. I didn't feel like we were poor when I was growing up. And that's a movie you've heard of, right? Like, it was kind of a big deal. It's had like a TV series and a comic book series. And when you're young and stupid and you don't read your contracts, you don't see a cent of that. We get these delightfully insulting checks sometimes for $2.50 for foreign DVD rentals. And that's kind of it. So long story short, we were broke. I didn't know it until I got to college. And we had to fill out the FAFSA. And then I had to have a conversation with my parents that was like, oh, okay, we're in debt. We're really in debt. How did that happen? Also, what happens to that if you die really suddenly, just asking for a friend? And when I was having a conversation with my mom about it, she said, you know, here's the thing. You only get to experience Europe as a kid for the first time once. So we went. There's me and my dad in Stratford-on-Avon. And I had a great time. And the other reason was that she wanted me to know my family. There's me and my grandma. My parents chose these things that were going to enrich my life at the cost of our financial net. And that's not the only reason, right? One of the things that makes it so hard to talk about money is that everything is a gross oversimplification. There are so many factors. There are always other things, and I can't say them all, and I wish I could because I really want to be as transparent about this as I possibly can. But I guess that what I learned back then is that sometimes it's okay to make an investment rather than a salary. And my dad always shares that quip that you can make a fortune in show business, but you can't make a living. I chose a career where you can't make a fortune or a living. Suck it, Dad. And he's so proud of me. I love it. But over the past couple years, I've internalized all of this self-judgment around prioritizing nourishment instead of financial gain. Because like it or not, I became a small business owner. And it's as if to say publicly that I am investing my resources in experiences rather than spending time negotiating the maximum salary for what I do is to admit failure. I felt shame earlier today when Gabby was talking about negotiating for higher speaking salaries. I straight up took $500 to do this gig. That's how much I was paid. I think that's the baseline for all speakers. Some people may have negotiated for more. And I agree with every single thing she said. That's what's hard about this talk, is that everything I'm saying is a contradiction. We do need to know our worth. We do need to ask for more, especially those of us who have made do with less for so long. So many of my patrons are other broke artists, though. I can't give you a spin on that. I don't know. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable talking about other people's money. It's just, I just want to say that a lot of us are just scrappy people supporting each other because we understand what it's like, and I don't know what to do with that, really. Moving on. Drawings. I like drawings. Last October, I ran a series of illustrations for a thing called Inktober, where artists draw a thing for 31 days in October. And I started out with this doodle because I was feeling really self-conscious that I didn't have a clever theme or an idea picked out for the whole month. And it ended up becoming a series about externalizing my self-criticism. So this is what stay hungry looks like in my brain a lot of the time. This little fucker. Some of them were about this antagonistic relationship that we've had my whole life, where it tells me I can't be strong, and I say, and go climb the rigging in a tall ship. Some of them became more of a dialogue. You're so lazy. It's 3 p.m. and you're leaving work to get a massage. You don't deserve nice things. You need to work harder. You need to earn more. You need to be better. You need to do this. It's okay. You're allowed to feel good. A lot of people like that one. I wonder why. Eventually, I realized that the voice that I was hearing was just like me. It was afraid. Whenever I talk about money, I try to be honest about the privilege that has enabled me to do this full-time for the last 4 years, since I got out of college. Because I made it out of my fancy private liberal arts education with no debt. Because we were so broke that our expected family contribution from the FAFSA, after scholarships and financial aid, was $6. So how does that make me any different from somebody from a wealthy family? It doesn't, right? I mean, I can't rely on my parents for support now, but I still came out with this thing that puts me ahead. And I never want to elide that when I talk to other people about what I do, because they might think that they should be making it too. I wish I could annex that word from the English language. Now, the real thing I want to talk to you about today is end papers, because that's the definition of success for me, and I put end papers in that goddamn book, so I'm a success now, and I don't want to hear anything else about it. Thank you. Oh, man. They look so good. And there's spot gloss on the cover, too. I'm such a real deal. It's great. Okay, so we line ourselves up with these cultural notions of success. And we worry that we aren't making it. But there's this other problem when nobody's talking about it, or nobody's naming any numbers, is that we're learning all this shame around the matter of money simply through not having any idea what the possible range is. I know cartoonists who are making over $100,000 a year, and their expenses are high because they're self-publishing, but I didn't think cartoonists could make that kind of money. And I've had really honest conversations with friends in private, which I appreciate them having very deeply, because it's given me these benchmarks. I know other people who are bringing in $5K a year, and they're working a day job, or their spouse supports them. Their work is no less legitimate than someone who supports themselves full-time. And there are people who have worked for 10 years and built a career the legitimate linear way that we're told that careers are supposed to work. That is also legitimate. It turns out all of these people are scared to talk about money. Even the successful ones. What? Okay. Because there's this thing that happens now that I say, hey, I got off food stamps. Let's all feel really good about that. Because there's a chance that next year, after 4 years of earning more or less the same amount that I've been earning since I started doing this, which has, I was surprised, it hasn't actually really gone up aside from the Kickstarter year, but all of that went straight back into the book. My base earning is always around $25,000, even as I've gotten more successful. And my expenses are generally around 70% of that, just for reference. So I might start to make more money at some point, and if people perceive me as being financially successful, or if I come right out and say that I'm financially successful, everyone has more opinions. It's Amanda Palmer asking her community of fans to volunteer to play on stage with her, or Pomplamoose flying their band from tour stop to tour stop. Both of those people got attacked for doing the opposite thing. It's either you're not paying them enough or you're paying them too much. Well, you're an artist, so you shouldn't make any money, but actually you have all this cash, so why can't you afford to pay for this thing? You can't win. Too successful, not stingy enough. Too fat, too thin, too tall, too short. Success is like a carapace. Perceived or real, it builds up around us and it cuts us off from the people that we love. Because there's this thing happening to people who are perceived as famous or successful where they lose the right to ask for help. Because the internet has changed fame. Someone name recognized me at an art supply store in Boston. Boston? That's like the other side of the country from here. Can you believe it? Time was if people had heard of you from that far away, you must have been a Rockefeller or a Carnegie or like somebody with a lot of money, right, who was doing a Works Progress Administration thing or whatever. I'm not so good on the history of rich people, but I'm pretty sure that celebrity used to work differently than the way it works now. The internet has changed a lot. Right? That's safe to say. That's my talk. The internet made things really different. But all this notoriety that people are responding to is the product of my own hype machine. People are just believing what I tell them. And every success that I've had has happened because of help. And I hope I do enough to acknowledge that publicly, and I feel like I could probably do more. And every success that I've had comes with a string of anxious nights and strung out days. A couple months ago, I was sitting with a freelance writer friend of mine after I'd run into her at a social event, and I asked her how she was doing, and I meant it. And she said, "Not good." And I said, "Let's get brunch," because that's what we do in Portland. So we went and got brunch, and we're sitting there talking to each other, and I'm exhausted, and she's exhausted, and she's telling me that her health is on the rocks, and she doesn't know why. And she manages her Instagram account impeccably. She's a freelance writer. She does the local cocktail beat, and her feed is just beautiful drinks and happy people and everyone having a great time. And as she's telling me about the doctor's visits and the uncertainty and the test results, she looks up at me and says, "I'm sick of people telling me what a good time I'm having." And something cracks open in me like a grain of wheat. I think of all the times this year when I've had the chance to see my friends, to see people in my community, and the first thing they say is, "Wow, things are going so well for you." And I feel that chasm get wider. And I get mad, and I get scared, and why should I be angry? That's exactly what I've told them, is that I'm getting more successful. I so desperately want people to know that I'm making it, that it's possible, that I am living this weird particular dream that I had when I was 9, that maybe I wanted to go and be a real-life pirate and then also draw stuff and maybe write things as well. And I'm doing that, and I didn't know that was a job option. And now kids are reading my book, and they know that's a job option, and they're going and doing that thing, and that is bonkers. My enthusiasm for that dream, the reason I was just doing this